Hi folks, Sandro here with more cartoon news and shenanigans. And today, you won't be getting any news or shenanigans. Instead, you're going to be getting the long-awaited Pixar tier list that I've been promising you guys for quite some time. As you guys know, I was sick for January, most of January, had a really bad flu, maybe it was COVID, no idea. And then, directly after that, as I was getting better, my grandfather passes away. And then, February, Paramount goes and releases all these, they released on Twitter all of the shows that are coming up for 2022 and all of the movies. They had a huge slate of cartoons and such. So I had to talk about all of that. Now that that's out of the way, we can finally get to this godforsaken tier list. It's finally here. We're here. We did it. We finally made it to the tier list. Okay, finally, let's do this thing. Now, before I start, we got to talk about a couple things. The first thing we got to talk about is Turning Red. Turning Red is, at the time I'm making this tier list, Turning Red is coming out in 4 weeks. So I'm going to update the tier list when Turning Red comes out. So if you're asking me, Sandro, why isn't Turning Red here? It's because at the time I made this, it isn't out yet. So look forward to a future video where I take the same tier list and throw Turning Red in. Okay? And that's going to be that. And then the next thing I want to talk about is the opinions of, so this is my opinion, right? This tier list, don't get offended. Don't cry. Don't get salty that I put one of your favorite films at the bottom or on the other hand, maybe I put a film that was really bad at the top and you guys are like, Sandro, I disagree with you. Let me know in the comments section down below. But don't get mad. At the end of the day, this is my tier list. This is where I think these films, like how good I thought they were personally. And so don't take it to heart if I put one of your favorites down low or put some really bad one up top. But we're going to go in here. And before I go, there's one last thing I got to talk about. It's the ranking system that I have here. So you're going to notice that my tiers are amazing, great, mediocre, bad, and awful. So an awful film is a 0, a 1, or a 2. So if I felt like a film was garbage, like awful, a 0, a 1, or a 2, it's going to go in awful. If I think a film is a 3 or a 4, it's going to go in bad. If I think a film is a 5 or a 6, mediocre. A 7 or an 8 is going to be great. Hey, that rhymed. And amazing is going to be a 9 or a 10. So only the best things are going to be going in amazing, while the worst things are going to be going in awful. So let's see what we got here. So the first one is Brave, right? Brave is going to be, I really enjoyed this film. It's not awful. It's not bad. It's not mediocre. I'm putting it in the great tier. Absolutely. And, this film, it features one of the Disney princesses. Did you guys see Wreck-It Ralph? She was kind of in there as a Disney princess, but like they're all like, but she's from the other studio and they can't really understand her because she has a really thick Scottish accent. What was her name? Merida or something like that? Yeah, some business like that, right? It's been a while since I seen that. Like I actually saw this film the week it came out, and then I have never seen it again since. So it's been a while. It's not fresh in my mind. I gotta be honest. I remember the plot was something to do where she goes to a witch and her mother becomes a bear and they have to break the curse. And there's another guy that maybe was turned into a bear, and he was kind of like an evil bear that was like savage and shit. That was the whole plot there. It was a kingdom. There was a king. There was some goofy moments. I thought it was a pretty solid film. I like the whole archery gimmick that she has there. She wanted, her dad tried to do a whole arranged marriage thing on her. But, she kind of outsmarted the system and got away from it. And she wanted to live her own life instead of, being forced into the whole princess shindig. And her and her mom had a little dispute there. And, so I thought it was a great film. Like, there was nothing wrong. But at the same time, at the same time, it wasn't an amazing film. Like, this wasn't like a masterpiece that you tell all your friends, like, you gotta see it. You gotta see it, everybody. It's so, this isn't like one of those like, Avengers Infinity War or like, well, I didn't think Endgame was that good. I gotta be real. I didn't like how they killed Thanos so early on. And then the rest of the film is just another Thanos from a different like multiverse or timeline or whatever the hell. I just didn't like that. I really didn't like that. I would rather, they just had a plot where they killed the original Thanos, and that would have been way better. They end up fighting the other Thanos, and he's like, I don't even know who you are. It's like, what the hell is this shit? So I honestly, I didn't enjoy that. I didn't enjoy Endgame, but Infinity War was amazing. That's like a 9 or a 10 out of 10. I definitely told like all of my friends to go watch that film because it was so good. And Brave is not on that level. Brave isn't on some of my favorite films of all time, like Back to the Future, for example. I think that's one of the best ever made. There's probably a good Forrest Gump is pretty solid also. I'd probably put that in the amazing tier. And there's a couple of films here too that I'm going to put on the amazing tier. But I definitely think that Back to the Future has to be one of my favorite films like ever made, period. So very exciting stuff. I guess we're going to have to get into it here. I mean, Disney is such a big corporation that they have some of the best films ever. So I definitely think The Lion King is also a 9 or a 10 out of 10 also. That's an amazing film, Lion King. The original, not the godforsaken Seth Rogen-filled reboot. Oh, boy. Yeah, that reboot was not great, let's just say. Anyways, let's get back on track here. I feel like we're getting off out of control here. Okay, so A Bug's Life. I'm gonna put this in the mediocre tier. Yeah, Bug's Life. It's been a long time since I seen this one. I gotta be real. This out of all the films here, I am the foggiest memory on this one. I remember there was like a traveling circus, and there was that ladybug that was a guy, or whatever the hell that. Yeah, and then there was that caterpillar. There was like a war, right? I always thought between this movie and Ants is way better. DreamWorks is Ants. You guys got to go check that out if you've never seen it. So basically, DreamWorks they heard that Disney was making A Bug's Life, and they heard was it Pixar? Yeah, they heard. Disney wasn't. Yeah, Pixar wasn't owned by Disney at the time, was it? I can't remember, but they heard that Pixar was working on this, big Bug's Life film, and they decided to make this movie called Ants, where it was like more adult themed, and there was actually death in it. Like, oh my god, one of the ants dies, and his head the other ant soldier is literally in the battlefield, picks up his best friend's head. Oh my god, that was crazy. I was like, whoa. When I was a kid, like, that was the movie that made me understand what death was. When you're a kid and you don't really understand the world. And, when I watched Ants, it was my parents explained to me what death was in that movie. And so maybe that's why I have such fond memories of Ants. It's just a great film to teach your kids about death. It does get a bit wild though, there is some scenes in there, but it's a really good movie. I swear to God, Ants is a masterpiece in disguise. I'd probably put it in the top 10 here. Amazing, if that was actually made by Pixar. But yeah, Bug's Life was still good. I remember it had a guy named Hopper, right? Hopper was the villain. He was like a winged ant. I'm pretty sure. And then there was the purple princess girl. I remember that too. So this one, honestly, I'm very foggy on it, but I thought it was okay. Like, it's not like a masterful work. I definitely put it below Brave. I'll tell you that much. I'm going to put it below Brave, and we're going to move on to Cars. Cars is a good one. Cars, Lightning McQueen, he ends up going on the highway. He, what was it? Does he break down on the highway? And then he ends up meeting this like town. He ends up on, what was it, Route 66. and he ends up meeting all of these people on the side of the road, and they're just average citizens. He's this big hot shot race car, and he kind of becomes humbled by the people around him. They even teach him some techniques and things on how to race better. And I thought this film was good. I have to admit, I thought it was a good film. But was it great though? One of the things about the Cars films is it's really hard to relate to the characters. I always felt like the cars were never very expressive, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, with A Bug's Life, the characters have a very human look to them, so they can be very expressive in their facial features and what have you. The cars are cars. You know what I mean here. The cars are cars, okay? So you can't get the same level of expressiveness from the cars. And I just like I think it's a good movie, but is it in the great tier? Is this like a 7 or an 8? I think no, I'm not going to put it in the same tier as great. I think it was a pretty was it Under Brave? It's definitely Under Brave. Okay, and it's better. I like this one way better than A Bug's Life because I can actually remember it. So I'm going to put that. Okay, let's flip these. There we go. But was it a great film? Like, it has the catchphrase like ka-chow or whatever. What was it? Ka-chow. That was like Lightning McQueen's like little phrase there. But the Doc character was really, really good. But yeah, I don't know if this was like a great film. You know what I mean? Like, it was okay. Like, it was no masterpiece like some of the other ones, like Monsters Inc. and such. Like, this was no masterpiece. I'm going to keep it a mediocre. That's where I'm going to, at the top of mediocre right now. I think that's a good place to put it. And then Cars 2. Well, this is going to be this is going to go right down in the awful category where it belongs. Cars 2 is everything that the first one did, but like 10 times worse. There's a big race, the whole gimmick here. We get some of those characters on the highway again, the redneck Mater. And for some reason, they're like, Lightning McQueen already had his story. Let's screw that story. Screw Lightning McQueen. This shit's all about Mater. And also, for some reason, Mater is a spy now. Yeah, this movie was all over the place. I don't know what they were trying to go for here. This was like James Bond meets like Cars. Yeah, the first Cars. They wanted to go for like James Bond meets like, an action thriller, but they got James Bond, a poorly done James Bond film meets Cars. And that's what we got here. That's what we got. So I think this is one of the worst, but not the worst. Not the worst. This is one of my lowest picks for Pixar films. I thought it was really bad. Like, really, really bad. Like, this is the kind of film where, like, if I was watching it in the theater and, I would probably walk out on this one if I could get my money back. You know what I mean? Like, this is one of those ones. Like, I just did not enjoy this one. And honest to God, I'm even surprised that Cars, this movie, I think it ruined Pixar's reputation. I'm genuinely surprised that there was even a Cars 3. I really am. And speaking of Cars 3, we have to rank that one. And guess what? You're going to be shocked by... See, I told you guys when we went into this, right? That I have some very controversial picks here. I actually think that Cars 3 is the worst Pixar film ever made. That is, I know. People, calm down. So I'm going to give my reasoning. I think the animation in Cars 3 was really good. But here's the problem. All of the this is a tier list of Pixar films going up against Pixar films. Almost all of these films have really good animation, except for like some of the earlier ones, like the original Toy Story and like the original Incredibles. Those could have had much better animation. But for the time they came out, they were really good. You know what I mean? All it would take is like a Blu-ray re-release, and they could just digitally up all the animation. But yeah, some of the Pixar films just had lower animation. This film had really, really good, some of the best animation Pixar has to offer. And it was the story that really put it as the worst for me. So, the story in this one is about Lightning McQueen, right? And Lightning McQueen he's getting older. We do a little bit of a time skip here. And we start to notice that Lightning McQueen, one of the most legendary and quickest cars in town, he's getting older. And the newer generation of cars are being born as these like super race cars. Like these are like bred for excellence. You know what I mean? I don't exactly know how the cars are born, but these cars are like eugenics. Okay. You know what eugenics is? Oh my God. They're like bred. Okay. It's the idea that like they're bred to be superior. This new generation, they're faster, they're smoother, they're slicker. And, it's a little bit wild. It's a little bit wild at how fast these cars are. And we see right from the get-go of the movie that Lightning McQueen, he can't keep up with these newer, younger, sleeker models. He's getting out, it's kind of like in real life, every couple of years you replace your car because a newer model, a newer, faster, better, stronger model comes out. Same thing here. And the moral of this story, oh my God, I can't stand this movie. This movie is the worst. If you thought at least Cars 2 was a comedy, it was about Mater. It was all about Mater, and Mater's a pretty lovable character in his own right. This film decided to go woke. This film decided to throw everything honorable about the writing of, at least the first Cars movie, not the second one, out the window. This one was trash. Hot garbage trash. Okay. So here's my problem. Here's the big problem that I face with this film and why I just don't respect it and I hate it. Okay? So the whole film is this awesome story. I thought it was really good. Everybody in the world is getting older. Every day, by the time you watch this video, a day has passed for me, right? I'm going to upload this tomorrow. A day has passed. I'm getting older. You're getting older. Everybody's getting older. And I love the idea that this film tried to tackle the idea that as you age, you can't keep up with the competition, right? A 90-year-old man isn't going to beat an Olympian at like swimming, even if they used to be an Olympian, right? The younger person, there's new techniques. There's new swimming gear and stuff, there might be more aerodynamic, swimming caps, for example. The equipment changes, everything changes. The metagame of sports and, competition are constantly evolving. So a 90-year-old man, a feeble old guy in a wheelchair, probably not going to be able to beat a youngin that's, a 20-year-old. You know what I'm saying? So I really like this idea that Lightning McQueen, even though he's getting older, if he tries brand new techniques, if he keeps training hard, even though he's getting older, he still has a shot to take out the new generation. I like this idea because, eventually we're going to be 30-year-olds. I'm turning 29 in like a couple months. We're all going to be 30-year-olds. We're all going to be 40-year-olds. We're all going to be, well, okay, not everybody. I mean, like some people die young, but like, most people are probably going to get there, right? Most people are. The average lifespan in Canada is about 82. What is it? 84 if you're a woman, or like 82 if you're a man, right? Here in Canada. So most people are probably going to make it to their 80s, unless something goes horribly, horribly wrong. But I love this idea that even though we're getting older, I love Smash Bros. I literally have Smash Bros on right there. As I get older, you slow down, you start getting carpal tunnel or something, your arms start, you don't have the same response time, you know what I mean? And I like the idea that like an old guy could still train their heart out and get a last minute, just surprise everyone and say, hey, even though I'm an old guy, even though I'm getting up there and, people are forgetting about me for the next generation, I'm still here. You know what I mean? And Cars, they take Cars 3, not the first Cars 3, they take this idea and they're training Lightning McQueen to learn all of these new techniques, and he's getting, he's getting slicker. He's sharpening his turns. He's getting better, and it seemed like he was going to win that final race. Then we get introduced to this yellow car midway through the movie there. And she's kind of like Lightning McQueen's, I don't even know, secretary, sidekick. She's there to help Lightning McQueen reach new heights, get to a new level so he can compete against the new fastest cars on the track, okay? And I don't remember her name, the yellow car, but she's basically Lightning McQueen's assistant. And she's training alongside Lightning McQueen, so that comes up later. But it was just awful. I'm sorry. So, Lightning McQueen, he's going. It looked like he was getting, he was actually keeping up. And in the final race, he just gives up. He gives up. He sees the yellow car. He realizes that he's getting old. And he says, hey, kid, it's your turn now. You're this new female car on the big rig. You give it a chance. Girl cars don't often succeed. So they went woke, and they deserve to go broke. I hope to God there's never a Cars 4. What a train wreck. They basically have the yellow car finish the race for Lightning McQueen. And it's more like Lightning McQueen is, we're a team. We're a team now. This is not the way competition works. This is, I'm sorry. It's just, it ruined the entire buildup. That even though you're getting old, if you train really hard, if you try your best, maybe, just maybe, there's still a shot that you can get back in there and take a surprise victory. No. F yourself. Fuck yourself. You have no hopes of ever doing it. Give up your hopes. Give up and give it up to the next generation. You will never beat them. That was the message I got from this movie. Fuck Cars 3. This is one of the worst films Pixar has ever produced. This is fucking garbage. It is the worst film Pixar ever made, in my opinion. That's my thoughts on why I put this at the bottom. So this is probably going to be the longest discussion point out of all the films here that I have to talk about. Except for Finding Dory. We're going to get to that one. No. This discussion was probably the longest one. But I have some choice words for Finding Dory. Okay, Coco. Coco was cool. But was it better than Brave? Okay, it was that. I think Coco was better than Cars. I do. I liked Coco. Coco had some good songs in there. They weren't that good, actually. What am I talking about? It had some, catchy tunes, I suppose. I think the villain was very cliche. I think that the coincidence that, not Coco, what was the kid's name? I don't remember the kid's name, but, Coco was the grandmother, but the coincidence that he goes to the land of the dead by playing the magic guitar, and he happens to find his grandfather, is very gimmicky. Wait, was it his great-grandmother? Or no, it was, Coco was his grandmother, I think, right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I think this film was pretty interesting. We got to take, you don't see Mexican lore too often. Weirdly enough, before I saw Coco, I actually saw a movie called The Book of Life. And when I was watching Coco, I'm like, oh my God, this is The Book of Life, but with better characters. Actually, The Book of Life had this really awesome character named Le Muerte. Book of Life. What was her name? Le Muerte or something like that. I actually think Book of Life had better songs than Coco. I'm going to be real. But Book of Life, yeah. This is a film that I never would have given a chance, but I went to the movie theaters and I had watched everything else. And one of the guys there says, "Hey, you should watch The Book of Life. It's a kid's film, but it's not even that bad." So I gave it a chance, and it wasn't even that bad, like he said. But yeah, there's a character in here. What was her name? The Muerte. This character right here. Yeah, awesome character. This character design is one of my favorites in like any movie ever. I don't know how they came up with this one, but it was really good. And I know it's supposed to represent like the Lady Death from like Cinco de Mayo or whatever. I'm not exactly up to date on my Mexican lore, all right, folks. But the Le Muerte character, she was very good. There she is in the movie. She is, giant hat with a bunch of candles on it. This has to be one of the greatest designs ever. Like, period, right? Like, what a great design. I would probably get a toy of this, or like one of those Funko Pops or something. This is a really great character design. But let's go back to our tier list, wherever the heck I put that. There we go. So Coco, it was a good film. I just think the ending, I think this could have been an amazing film, but the ending, the villain was just so not good. We have the cliche ending where the villain reveals his plan to all the people, and then, surprise, he was actually talking to everybody in the microphone. I thought the ending was really cliche, where it's like the bad guy accidentally reveals his plan's gimmick. The cliche. Again, I feel like I'm using the word cliche a little bit too much here. But, that's how the film was. It was pretty interesting to see the land of the dead. I like the concept of the final death. When somebody forgets about you, you're gone forever, right? Like, it had some really interesting things. I like the whole murder mystery plot here where, Coco, what was his name? Hector? I think it was Hector, right? He gets killed by his best friend, and he takes the song and becomes I guess a millionaire or something, right? a peso millionaire, yeah. How much are pesos even? I don't even compared to the like U.S. dollar, Canadian dollar. I wonder. Yeah, pesos probably aren't worth that much, right? Yeah, actually, let's find out how much is a million pesos. Canadian dollars to pesos. How do you spell pesos? Mexican peso. 16 pesos for every $1. So 1 million. Let's check how much is 1 million. 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, million. So a million pesos is apparently equal to 62,000. This is what somebody makes in a year in Canada. Yeah, about $62,000. 50,000, I guess, if you're working full time in a decent job, you're going to be making between 50 and 60, 70. Yeah. So, wow, a million. Yeah, maybe maybe the main villain of Coco was a peso heir. He just had a million pesos. But yeah, he basically dies, and people love him. He's basically the Elvis Presley of Mexico, and then he dies, and then he gets his ass owned in the afterlife by the crowd. And yeah. So Coco, pretty solid. Didn't like the villain. Didn't like the twist with the villain at the end. Also, oh wait, I almost forgot to talk about it. Yeah, isn't it convenient that Hector or whatever, his grandfather, ends up being like the one guy that he happens to meet coincidentally? I didn't like the whole coincidence of that. I think that the main kid, what was his name? Miguel? I don't know. Whatever the main kid's name was, I would have liked it better if it wasn't so coincidental, But yeah. Anyways, it's Pixar. But we gotta talk about. Oh wait, is this Finding Dory? Oh no, we'll do Finding Nemo before we do Finding Dory because I have a lot to say. Actually, maybe we'll save Finding Dory for a little bit later. But I think I'm going to put Finding Nemo is just a really good film. Wait, should I put this in the top tier? It is really good. No, you know what? I'm putting it in amazing. I am putting it in amazing. I changed my mind. I actually really like Finding Nemo. Really great film. I remember when I was in school and this film came out, the seagulls, right? Mine. I remember everybody in school was going bananas doing those mine seagull things. A lot of people love this film. I love this film. I remember like so many people like this film that they endangered the clownfish species. People started saying, "Mommy, I want a Nemo," and they went to go get him a clownfish, and there were so many people that wanted clownfishes that the species started to become like endangered or some shit. I remember back in the day. But yeah, this film just has so many iconic moments and quotes, and there was that turtle where riding the wave or whatever. It's been a while. I can't even remember. But was this the movie where it's like sharks are friends, not food, or was that Shark Tale? I can't even remember. Yeah, Shark Tale. That was the Will Smith one, but I can't remember if that was the one where it's like sharks are friends, not food. But maybe it was this one. And I love the whole story that everybody in the ocean is, they're like, hey, Marlin, the odds of you actually getting your son back are very low, but they go to whatever, Wallaby Way, Sydney, and, they ride the streams, the turbulence. They ride the turbulence with the turtle guy, and I remember that being really cool. Oh, yeah, Squirt. I remember Squirt, the little turtle. Yeah, Squirt. Pretty awesome. And, what a great adventure. Marlin goes through the entire ocean just to get his son back. What a fantastic tale. You can't really get better than that. You don't see too many of these films where most of the Disney films, they kill the mother. They kill off the parents, and actually the fathers are pretty absent too, now that I think about it. But yeah, they have a thing about killing the mothers in Disney films, and it was very interesting to see, the father actually being a parent for a change, because usually in a lot of these films, even though there's a mother or a father, they're kind of sidelined so the main character can have their go. But this time, the father parental figure was the main character, which is very rare. I don't think we see that in any of these other films, right? Where like except for Finding Dory. But I don't think so. I don't think we see the whole father figure to children being the main character. It's very rare. Usually it's always the children that are like go on the adventure. And actually Up doesn't, the children don't, he never had children. Very tragic movie, Up. We'll talk about that one in a bit. So yeah, I'm probably going to put that there. In amazing, because it really was an amazing film. So many quotable lines, just a great film. I love the film. And yeah, but then Finding Dory. No, we're not going to. Should I? Oh no. You know what? We're going to do it. Finding Dory. It's going at the bottom right here. Going at the bottom right there. Sorry, folks. I had to scroll down so you guys could see that. Yes, this is going right here. Awful film. Awful film. One of the worst. Not as bad as Cars 3. Nobody tops Cars 3. Why do I put this one so low? This was the coincidence hour. What the hell was this movie? Literally everything in this movie that occurs is literally a coincidence. So I talked about Coco, how Hector, I think his name was Hector, right? His grandfather named Hector. I almost forgot to talk in Coco. Yeah, one of the most, I did think that was a very traumatic scene at the end where, Coco passes on, and, it was sad to see your mother go and not, your grandmother go and not remember you. I just lost my grandfather. He died with Alzheimer's, I guess it's dementia, right? Dementia is the actual thing. And Alzheimer's is more of a subcategory of dementia. He died of my grandfather in the last couple of months, years of his life. He didn't know who I was, right? Like I'd be like, no, it's me, Sandro, and he didn't know who I was. So having that memory loss in Coco made it even more tragic, but it was pretty cool. I like the whole honor system, or Mexican thing where you honor your family by lighting the candle. I like that tradition. That's a cool tradition. I'm not sure if Mexicans celebrate Christmas, though. I think Christmas is better. I'm gonna be sorry, biased. I'm biased. I was born a Catholic, so I have to tell you, Christmas is probably better. Um, but yeah, this tier list is coming along quite nicely. I like how we have a little bit of something, except for the bad. We're gonna get there. But yeah, so Finding Dory, it's the coincidence fest. So if you watch Coco and you thought the coincidences in Coco, where he happened out of all the people that have ever died, he just happens to meet his grandfather out of everybody. If you thought that was a hell of a coincidence, you're gonna love Finding Dory, or maybe I should say you're gonna hate Finding Dory because it's shit. Okay, so this one, Dory wants to find her family. Her parents, she was separated from her parents. She has like amnesia and she can't remember like all of the tidbits of, whatever happened to her family. And so slowly, they get those tidbits back. They go on a grand adventure, Dory and Nemo and Marlin. And so this time Marlin has to find Dory instead of Nemo. Well, I guess he eventually catches up with Nemo though. But yeah, so they go out throughout the entire ocean once again, and they end up going to an aquarium where Dory was stayed at previously, and eventually they do find her parents. But along the ways, it's bullshit. It's just bullshit. It's shit after shit. The characters, they don't die. Coincidentally, they don't die at the water park. It's guys, it's been a while since I've seen this, but like I just remember how lucky they were every time. It was something lucky. Oh, Dory just happened to get her memory jogged so they could go to the next place. Oh, Dory got her memory jogged again. We could go to the next place. They avoided some danger. How lucky. Everything in this movie was lucky or coincidental. I just remember the end towards the aquarium. They're all around the aquarium. Everything's happening. They're about to die, and then they get shot up by it's a water park, so they get shot up by a burst of water. They don't die. They fall in cups. They luckily happen to fall in cups. There's sprinklers that catch them and stop them from dying. It's just, oh my god, train wreck, absolute train wreck. And yeah, even it just keeps going. It just keeps going. Even towards the climax of the film, right? It's like I remember there was one scene where they happen to fall into some chemical yellow. It was like this yellow. What do you call? You wash the mop. The janitor. The janitor uses the chemicals to wash the floor, right? They got so lucky that they happen to fall into one of those that only had water in it, water that they could breathe even. It was just bullshit. Because I remember I used to work at a restaurant, and every time we cleaned the floors, we had to put this chemical bleach shit in there, and it made the floor Pine Sol. Was it Pine? It might have been Pine Sol. We had to put all these chemicals that probably would have burned a fish alive in just a couple seconds. Luckily, they happen to just be some water in there. How convenient. And this is the whole plot of the film. It's just convenient palooza. And I remember the end of the film. There just happens to be some otters there. Everything in this film is a coincidence. The otters just happen to be going by. Dory is able to stop the trucks from. I can't remember exactly what happens towards the end there, but I remember there was a trucker. She ends up getting the seagull or the pelican. There was a funny scene with the pelican that was at least memorable. And that character, whenever you call that character, no matter where it is, it happens to be within earshot. What was that pelican's name or whatever bird that was? Yeah, the bird. They call the bird, and it just happens to appear. No matter where you are, you just call its name into the wind, and it appears for you. How convenient! What a great plot device, huh, folks? And it just keeps happening. They end up going into a truck, and they have to stop the truck from crashing or going down the hill or whatever. And of course, the trucker just happens to have a bottled water or a cup of water or a thermostat. I can't even remember what it was. That Dory just happens to be able to survive in for a couple seconds while they're doing this. And it was bullshit. It was a bullshit film. I thought it ruined and tarnished the good name of Finding Nemo. This was just a sequel that never needed to happen. I really hope they never make a third one. Everybody says that, okay, if there is ever a third one, the first one was called Finding Nemo. The second one was called Finding Dory. The third one, if it ever comes out, will probably be Nemo and Dory teaming up to find Marlin. So Finding Marlin. Yeah, I hope they never make that one. Please, God. It's very unnecessary, let's just say. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Finding Dory. I thought it was terrible. I thought it was one of the worst Pixar offerings ever. At least Cars 2 made me laugh. You know, because Mater, I do like the character of Mater. He's a very free spirit. He makes me laugh. But Finding Dory, I didn't find it funny. I just thought it was a coincidence plot fest. You know, this movie had plot force. Anything that can happen will happen to move the plot forward in the nick of time. And they always get unscathed. They never get injured. They always get unscathed and walk away completely fine. Very dumb. The Good Dinosaur. There's not much to say about The Good Dinosaur. I think I'm going to put... That's definitely going in the bottom tier. I think it's good. Did I like it more than Cars 2, though? No, I'm going to put it here. I'm going to put this here. So this is going to be... yeah, Cars 2 is probably better. Yeah, so Cars 2 is going to be there. So the worst film is Cars 3, which is why it's all the way down here. So in the tier list, the farther away it is from the blue awful symbol here, the farther it is away, the less I thought of it, okay? So Cars 3 is the worst, then Finding Dory, then The Good Dinosaur, then Cars. The Good Dinosaur, no, it's basically The Lion King, but very awful. The characters aren't good. There's no musicals that are memorable. The only thing I thought was interesting about this film was the scene where they do drugs. Yeah, there's a scene where they eat some berries, and that's about the only memorable thing about this movie. And the other thing I really enjoyed was the pterodactyls. So the pterodactyls have these pointed heads, and very clever. I like the imagery, the iconography. They had the pterodactyls flying in the clouds, and you could see the top of their heads, which looked like a shark fin. I like that. They were swimming around like sharks in the clouds. That was really cool. That was one of the coolest visuals this movie had to offer. And that's about it. Those two scenes were like the only memorable thing. This scene is basically Arlo, I think. Was his name Arlo, I think? Arlo the dinosaur basically was trying to make his mark. And, his father passes away. It's very reminiscent of The Lion King again, Simba. He ends up trying to get this little cave boy back to his family, back to the cave boy's family, or he just goes on an adventure with him, and yeah, it's a whole thing. But basically, Arlo ends up taking the dinosaur, taking the little cave boy back to somebody. He takes them back to the humans, I guess, but like, it's never clear if those are his parents or like, I was very confused by the end of this movie. I was like, were those, because they were albinos, right? Like, was it just that the family just adopts him? I guess it's ancient times. Nobody gives a shit. But I like one thing I forgot to mention. I like the idea that this film was like the comet that was supposed to wipe out the dinosaurs doesn't wipe out the dinosaurs. And if you're a fan of the Pixar theory, you need to go look up the Pixar theory. But the Pixar theory is pretty solid. It's not real. It's been deconfirmed. But I like the idea that the entire Pixar timeline is like all one timeline. And the entire thing starts because a meteor that was going to destroy the dinosaurs just kind of misses Earth. I always like that. I like that about the Pixar theory, but yeah. At the end of the day, The Good Dinosaur was very mediocre. A permanent stain on Pixar's reputation. People were saying that when this movie came out, that Pixar lost the magic when this came out. This is legitimately a toned down Lion King. And that's all I need to say more about that film. Next one I want to get into is, Toy Story. There's four of those. Ratatouille. Hey, there's a great one. So Ratatouille, I think it is a great film. Where am I going to put it, though? I am actually going to put it, I think it's better than Coco, actually. I think it's better than Brave. I'm going to put it there. I'm going to put it right there. Yeah, in the great tier. I put it in the great tier. I love this film. This film's really good. You don't see this kind of thing very often, but cooking movies are very rare, and I like what this movie brought to the table. There was the Italian, maybe I'm a little bit biased because I'm Italian. You had the sort of, what was the guy's name? Ravioli or Chef Cannoli or what? I can't remember. It's been so long. But the whole film was about this chef because, he inherits his, I don't even know what was the guy's name? Let me just double check. It's been so long. I know the rat's name was Remy. Ratatouille movie chef. What was the chef's name? The main chef guy. The villain. I almost forgot. Oh man, good thing. Chef Skinner. Yeah, he tries to kill the rat, and he gets upstaged by Rat. This is the guy. What was his name? Oh my God, his name. What is the name? Where is it? This guy, Gusto. That's his name. That's what everybody calls him, Gusto. You had the critic, the food critic. I love the story here. They have to impress a critic. This little bitch of a villain, Chef Skinner. What a great name. That is a really, really good name, I have to say. Basically, Ratatouille wants to be a cook. He wants to defy the norms of rat society. He wants to be a cook. His hobby is cooking. Meanwhile, on the other hand, we have the chef, whatever the hell his name is, the main character. He's like a ginger, that character. He's kind of an awkward kind of guy. His uncle Gusto or whatever passes away. And, he's left to this restaurant that everybody loves, right? Like everybody loves his, what was it, his grandfather or his uncle? Or was Gusto his father? I don't even know. But, yeah, he kind of gets that, the inheritance there. And, he's basically the sort of, restaurant boy. And wait, does he get the inheritance? Am I remembering this wrong? Maybe I'm confusing a theory I watched about them being related. I thought they were related. Maybe I'm wrong. Actually, let me just double check. Ratatouille. I do not know how to spell this. Main characters. Yeah, let's just see here. Ratatouille main characters. Alfredo Linguini, that was his name, and Anton Ego is the villain, and there's Gusto. So Alfredo Linguini, yeah, he is the son and heir of Gusto. I'm sorry, I was right actually. So I was wrong. It's his son, not his or I thought it was his grandson or his uncle or something. So yeah, he inherits the sort of restaurant, but then Chef Skinner is being an a-hole, and he wants to start going against Gusto's legacy. He wants to sell raviolis, he wants to sell it in stores. He wants to merchandise Gusto's empire. And Alfredo here, little Alfredo, he's just this kind of very awkward. He's a very awkward character. He's kind of, he keeps to himself, but he's a little bit sheltered. He kind of reminds me of the adult version of Carl from Jimmy Neutron. He's kind of just this awkward ginger guy, but he becomes this great chef with Remy's help. I love the idea. It was so cool. Remy's in his hat, teaching him how to cook and controlling him and everything. I really like it. I really like the idea there where, it's such an unusual story about this rat that's, cooking, and it's such a unique film. I've never seen anything else like this. And I really like the villain of Anton Ego, where he's such a revered critic that just talking, if he says one bad thing and the papers print it, your restaurant is done. You know what I mean? So it was pretty cool. And then at the end, they make the ratatouille, and Anton Ego's like, oh, this reminds me of my mother's. It's so good. They end up impressing him, and I really like it. It's just, it has a happy ending for everybody, and except for Chef Skinner. He probably thinks he's crazy after seeing all these rats go bananas. But yeah, Chef Skinner doesn't have a good time, but everybody else does, and that's all that matters. So really great film there. Really enjoyed that one. And then I guess we'll talk about Up. Up, I don't need to say a lot about this film. Everybody knows, I feel, about the first 5 minutes of Up. It's a very traumatic, they go through a lot, him and his Ellie, right? Carl and Ellie. By the way, R.I.P. to the actor. I can't remember his name. But I also saw Doug Days. I actually did see it. It's 5 episodes long. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. Or was it 6 episodes? 5 or 6? It wasn't a bad show. It's just like it didn't really it didn't really do much for me. I feel like kids would have liked that more. But yeah, Carl and the little boy, can't remember his name. It's a great story. The guy, people say that it was an allegory. I like, there's theories that like the little boy, he was trying to earn his wings. Apparently the boy was like an angel. This is a theory. And he was trying to earn his wings, was the whole gimmick there, by taking this old man on one last journey into the afterlife. There's a lot of theories on this film. Was it an allegory for some like biblical thing where, again, an angel takes a man off to the afterlife on one last adventure and earns his wings as an angel? Great theory. I don't know if it's true, but if it is true, it's really well done, right? But anyway, you have this little boy. He helps out this old man. The old man's had a really hard life, but even though, actually, wasn't it something like all of his neighborhood was getting purchased and they were going to destroy his house? But then he puts a bunch of balloons on it and they just go up, they just go up. Was the boy's name Carl or something? I don't remember. Oh, no, wait. Carl was the main old guy. What am I saying? Carl and Maddie, I think it was his wife. Or Eddie. Was it Eddie? Maddie? Eddie? Something like that. Yeah, it's been a while, guys. Forgive me for some of these names. Was his name Hector? It might have been Hector. I don't know. Let me just... Up characters. Let me just see. Up characters. Let's find out here. Russell. I am completely wrong. It was... Oh, Ellie. Okay, Ellie. So we have Ellie. We have Charles Muntz. I thought Charles Muntz was a bad villain. He was not a good villain. But it doesn't matter because the film overall was pretty solid. I thought the film had a lot of great, funny scenes. It was just, it had an innocence to it. It had some darkness to it too, with like all the death and the despair. And, again, I really like that theory where Russell was a sort of an angel that was trying to earn its wings. But let's be real, that's probably not real. That's probably not what Pixar was intending with this film. I just love the film. I think there was some wacky and kooky characters. I didn't really get the whole thing where his childhood hero, like Muntz, whatever, Charles Muntz or whatever. Yeah, what was the name of him? I kind of like got it. Oh, wait, hold on. Charles Muntz, yeah. Yeah, Charles Muntz. I really didn't understand how the hell this guy would still be alive. Like, it showed Carl when he was a kid and shit. And, there's no way Charles Muntz would be alive after all of that. So that seemed, really unrealistic to me. But, sad movie. Not a great villain. Not a real great villain. There was a whole cluster towards the end. Actually, yeah, and that's why, because of the villain, that's why I don't put it in amazing. I know a lot of people really love Up, but no, it's not an amazing film. It's just a really great film. Very heartwarming ending too. But yeah, so that's enough about that one. Let's talk about WALL-E, I guess. Yeah, WALL-E. WALL-E's a good one. WALL-E's a really good one. WALL-E is in fact going, yeah, I'm going to put it there. I'm going to put WALL-E there. WALL-E, I like the story. I like the fear. The fear is here, right? The story here is that, WALL-E, he's part of this, well, he's not part of it, but WALL-E is a story about a robot that was kind of left behind on Earth. And there's these ships and whatever, Earth evacuated. Yeah, sorry, I got to remember this one. Okay, Earth evacuated because of some kind of war. There was an illusion. They alluded to the fact that there was some kind of war. Maybe it was with Russia. I don't know, but it seemed to be that World War III had happened, and or maybe World War II. There, like the nukes went off. Who knows? But basically, what happens is like Eva is this white robot. It comes back to Earth to check if it's like, if it's habitable. Is the Earth habitable? And we get this lonely, like worn out robot called Wally. And so Eva is sort of like the one that, it checks to see if things are back to normal, if the radiation levels, if the planet is hospitable. And so Wally ends up going back to the mothership, and we get to see these humans, and this is where the fear comes in, right? A lot of us are kind of scared that robots are going to take over, that like humans are going to become obsolete. We see on the wall, we get to see all the captains. That's such an iconic scene. We get to see all the captains. The first captains are like these amazingly strong guys. And then as we go on and on and on and on, you see them become fatter and fatter and fatter, and they're wasting away, and they're becoming lazy, and they don't give a shit. And I really enjoyed just the whole shindig of this is what society could look like in another world. Or maybe this could be our future, which hope to God not. So this, I like this kind of like futuristic look into what could happen to humanity. It's not something that's done very often, especially to this degree. But, people have been saying that each generation is getting lazier and lazier. We're working less hours. My great-grandfather, they had to work 100-hour work weeks. Meanwhile, most, in today modern society, most people only do like 40, right? 40, maybe 20. And some people don't even work. Maybe they just have rich parents, so they don't work at all. People aren't farmers anymore. We're not having a lot of children, so we don't need to farm and such. So Wall-E was just a really cool story. And I did, the twist at the end where it's like the computer was evil all along, and it was just keeping, the algorithm kind of went out of control. I kind of like that idea, right? It was doing its main directive, but it kind of like loses control and goes off the deep end to sustain its prime directive, right? It's kind of hard to explain, but yeah. Basically, a lot of people are scared in real life that we give people, robots, a simple task. Like, we want you to take every pen and... No, imagine there's a janitor robot, and you tell the janitor robot, anytime there's a cigarette on the floor, go put it in the trash. And we want this robot to be efficient, so we allow it to update its code. So it has the code, find every cigarette and put it in the trash. Okay, so it's a robot specifically designed to do that. But then it changes its code, and the robot says, hey, the humans are the ones that are making the cigarettes and throwing them on the ground. If I start killing humans, that would be the most effective way to do my prime objective. So this is what we get to see in Wall-E. We get a dark look at humanity becoming lazier and fatter. We get a dark look at how robots and artificial intelligence could one day betray us. So Wall-E just gives us this insight to the future that many films don't, and I really, really enjoyed this one, so I'm going to put it there. Monsters, Inc. is a masterpiece. That one's going there. Absolutely. Absolutely. I really enjoyed it. I really did. I like, this has to be one of the best films I've ever seen. I love Mikey and Mike and Sully, baby. These characters are great. Ross is great. By the way, Monsters at Work, if you haven't seen it, Disney made a sequel series that's 10 episodes long, and it goes right after this movie. As soon as Monsters, Inc. is over, it literally starts right there. So really cool. Mr. Waternoose was a great villain. Randall was a great villain. So Mr. Waternoose was kind of like he was portrayed as a good guy that was friendly to Sully, but then we find out he's a villain, and Randall is a villain. So we actually get two villains in Monsters Inc., which is really good, and they're both good. They're both good villains. And then we have, what else? Randall. Oh yeah, Sylvia. You know, I like the relation. I like the fact that a lot of times we see these movies they're always about like love stories and whatever. They find love here and there. You don't often, you don't get to see it where it's like the characters dating, right? Like The Incredibles, they're already married, and a lot of these films, like Merida's parents are like already married and such. You don't get to often see it where it's like Mike is basically already borderline in a relationship with the girl. Usually we get a movie, and during the course of the movie, the main character falls in love. That's kind of sort of what happens in Ratatouille, but not really. I guess you could say that happened in Toy Story with Bo Peep and Woody in Toy Story 4. But it took a couple films, though. But yeah, or maybe A Bug's Life would be a better example with the princess. Or Cars, right? They have that female blue car. That's a great example, again, where they kind of just have the love interest, and, they get together by the end of the film, usually. But meanwhile, Mike over here, it's, he's already calling her like a schmoopsy poo, and they're already like in a relationship from the time the movie starts. They kind of already have that like sort of relation there. Which is, you don't see that too often in Pixar films or Disney films. So I did enjoy that. I like that Sully is like an absolute Chad. Like he's one of the best workers ever. I like that these two just play off each other so well that they have to be one of the best duos in like any movie. I swear to God. And then I love the story. I love the whole story where there's these magic doors and they have to get scream energy. I really love it, guys. I really do. Let me grab some water. I really, really enjoyed that. But yeah, Boo is a really good character too. I like the whole story where they end up, realizing that humans aren't so bad. And, one of the things that's weird though is the toxins, right? Like I remember they say like 2319, one of the characters gets a sock on him, right? And then they shave him down and put a cone around him and shit. One of the things, like back in the day, you had like Aboriginals. When people from Europe would go to like some of these Aboriginal places, right? Here in Canada, if I were to go on like a Canadian map, right? Like if I were to go on a Canadian map, maybe Google Maps. No, I don't want to go there. But yeah, there's there's an island like right here. I think it is this one. Where is it? This island. It's kind of small there. Let me see if I can find a better one. Yeah, here we go. So this is a map of Canada. I believe this island right here, one of these two. I thought it was this one, this island right here. See where my mouse is pointing on that one? It's part of this territory called Nunavut. So this is where I live on Ontario. So if you just go straight up, there's that little very itty bitty island. I believe that in like Canada, in like history class, we learned about that island. I can't remember the name of it, but there was a tribe of Aboriginals living on it, and some European guy like came to that island, and as soon as he came to that island, everybody on the island died of disease because they never, they didn't have the immunity that the Europeans had. So one of the things that was like really weird with like Monster Inc. was that like there was no like the monsters. They kind of just were destroying human objects, but they weren't getting sick from the human like diseases, and vice versa. Humans weren't getting sick from like the monsters. It's very unusual. I don't know. Maybe the monsters built up a resistance or something, or maybe the humans built up a resistance to the monsters. Maybe it's one of that situation. Maybe they just built up immunity to each other over time. I don't know. But in real life, that's what actually happened. Like, Europeans would come, if they were sick with some disease or whatever, they would infect like an entire island of Aboriginals and they'd all be dead. And that was that. So yeah, I didn't, that was kind of an interesting oversight in Monsters Inc. But the movie's just a masterpiece. Like even the ending where it's like, I wouldn't have nothing if I didn't have you. Even when they make a little joke of a song towards the end, it's still hilarious. I love it. I definitely watch the credits of that movie just to hear that amazing song in full. Absolutely. But I love the characters. I think they're all great. Roz. Hello, Mike Wazowski. Yeah, Roz is good. I do love Roz. Oh, there's too many good characters in that movie. And the fact that all these years later, I still know the characters' names and such is really good. Randall, too, was a really, really good villain. I liked Randall. He's very competitive. He's very sneaky. He's going to do whatever it takes to win. So that was great to see. Monsters University, on the other hand, weirdly enough, I don't remember that much about this one. But I do remember. Okay, wait. Let me see. Where am I going to put that next to Bug's Life? Yeah, I think I'll put it there. I like the position there. It was a pretty mediocre film. I don't understand why they even did a prequel. Why didn't they just do a sequel? Like, the Monsters at Work script should have just been Monsters Inc. 2. I don't like this prequel, but the musical score was really good. It had some funny I will admit, there were some really funny characters in this movie. I did, they're part of like a club or whatever, or they have their own, like, what do you call it? Sigma and Omega and all that. What do you call it? Frat part, like they had frat house. Yeah. Fraternity. There was like the different fraternities and whatever. There was some competition here, Mike ends up Sully. There's, Sully is kind of like this, everybody talks about how good his father is and he has to live up to the expectations. What was his name? H.P. Sullivan or whatever the hell his father's name was. I remember Monsters Inc. They, even Mr. Water Noose even says you're as good as your father or whatever, who was like apparently one of the best scarers of all time. And it was pretty interesting that they have this entire like university where they go to train and learn how to scare people. I just thought that was really cool. So, but at the end of the day, it doesn't have like the best story. It's not a great story. I barely even remember it, guys. I just remember there was a whole bunch of these like weird fraternity kids that they hang out with in this movie. And you never see them again in Monsters Inc. though. I'm sure that some of them are somewhere in there. Yeah. Some of them are probably in there as like a reference or a cameo, but yeah. Most of those characters never come back. Even in Monsters at Work, they were kind of like one-offs. But yeah. So that's where I'm gonna put that one. I wish maybe I should have watched that one recently because I feel like I don't remember like everything about it. But I remember there was a teacher that was like pushing Mike and Sully to be better and such, and she was a very negative teacher and what have you. But yeah, and she appears in Monsters at Work though. She does that principal or whatever the hell. She does appear in Monsters at Work, the sequel to Monsters Inc. Their sequel series, I should say. Incredibles, one of the best. This is my. It's gonna be my second favorite. No, actually, it's such a good film. But is it better than Monsters Inc.? Oh no. I'm gonna put it right here. I'm gonna put it right there. I'm gonna put it there. Monsters Inc. It made me laugh more times than Incredibles. That's why I did that. Incredibles, amazing story. You have Buddy. He's this innocent little fellow. He looks up to Mr. Incredible. Basically he's like, "Go home, buddy." And he basically lets him down. And then Mr. Incredible saves a guy from jumping off a building. He basically saves his life there. He ends up suing him. There's a big lawsuit. Basically, all the supers have to go. They're not allowed to be superheroes anymore. So it's very interesting that they live in a society where superheroes are repressed. This one just had really good themes. I got to be honest. But basically, we have Mr. Incredible and Elastigirl. It seems to be that. Again, weirdly enough, eugenics What is it with the eugenics around here? I don't know. But anyways, Mr. Incredible, it seems to be that when two superheroes breed, they always produce superpowered offspring, which is very interesting. So all three of their children, Jack, it's not exactly clear if somebody who doesn't have superpowers dates or makes love to somebody who does, do they get superpowers, or is it a 50-50? Yeah, it's probably like a 50-50 chance, right? If one parent isn't superpowered and one is, then it's probably like a direct 50-50 chance if they have powers or not. But it seems to be here that Elastigirl and Mr. Incredible made some sweet, sweet children, and all three of them are superpowered, and they're all awesome. And I really like the story here. There's kind of like this story where, what was her name? Mirage, I think, or something like that. There's this story, is Mr. Incredible cheating on his wife? She gets suspicious, and then she finds out that he's been doing superhero work undercover. Meanwhile, Buddy grows up, he becomes Syndrome, and man, it's just so iconic. What a great movie. We got Buddy, he gives that line where, when everybody's super, no one is. I love that line. He's selling superpowered gear to people who don't have powers. He's trying to normalize society so that, people like him that weren't born with powers can actually be someone's. This film goes deep, man. This film goes deep. I really like the themes. I really like the children's powers. Dash is funny. Violet is interesting, I suppose. Violet is kind of like the bummer, but she's an awkward teen, so we're gonna let it slide. And then you have Jack, which I thought was adorable in the first one, but boy, oh god, did they. Let's talk about The Incredibles 2. I think you guys get it. I love The Incredibles. But The Incredibles 2 was a no bueno. Where am I putting The Incredibles 2? I am putting it in the bad section. This is the first bad section. I did not like this film. The villain was this, like, what was her name? Ellen, something. I can't remember her name, but I remember, doesn't it spell out evil or something? I can't remember. Evelyn something? Yeah, I don't remember what her name was. Evelyn something or other. They have this whole gimmick where, she ends up being the twist villain. She's not good. She tries to empower Mrs. Incredible as an Elastigirl, trying to get her to become like an icon and shit. It was a very feminist heavy film. I just didn't enjoy it. I felt that they really went woke with it. The plot wasn't really that good. It was like they were trying to like brainwash the superheroes with the tube, the television, right? They were trying to hypnotize people. And I just didn't think it was very good. One of my least favorite scenes was they're on a yacht towards the very end of the movie. They're on this giant yacht, and they have to prevent the yacht from crashing into the city, right? And basically they forget that Dash literally in the first movie, remember Mr. Incredible, he throws the football, and Dash he's so fast he can run on water and catch the football. And in this film, they have this giant sort of scene here where, and again, don't forget that Violet can make barriers, so she could have, if you're going to say that Dash didn't have enough room to run fast enough, he definitely did. He definitely had enough. I really think that Dash could have just ran on the water. If Violet made a barrier and he had enough run speed, he could turn around and then do a giant whirlpool around the boat or the yacht or whatever the hell it was. They literally just forget that Dash could run on water, even though that was such a focal point of the first film. And that was a huge opportunity that was missed. They overplayed Jack to the 10th degree here, folks. Jack is overused in every scene. Every scene. They just go all in, and people are like, oh, it's a cute little baby. It's Jack. It was too much Jack. I had enough. The story wasn't good. It was honestly not even anywhere close as good as what the original film was. They waited too many years to make this film. That's the problem. But basically, superheroes are emerging. They have all these like wacky and weird characters that were like okay, but they're not that memorable. There was one girl that was named like Portal Girl or Vortex Girl. This movie was okay. The Incredibles is supposedly set in the 50s or 60s, 1950s, 1960s. Then they have this woke girl with one of those like woke haircuts. I call it the woke wig. Incredibles 2. What was her name? Vortex Girl, Portal Girl, Void. Sorry, Void. Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, who doesn't remember that time in the 1950s or 60s when characters dyed their hair blue and were feminists? You know, like what the fuck? Yeah, this was way out of place. This character should not have been in there. I don't even know what the hell they were thinking with this one. Well, I know what they were thinking. I know what they were going for here. We had to have that woke agenda where Disney Corporation has to be a blue-haired character, of course. So I did not enjoy this character particularly. I didn't enjoy some of the, like, why did they go into this whole female empowerment thing? I don't know. I get it that like women were in the 1950s and 60s, women were getting into the workforce by then, but like they leaned into it really hard. What was the girl's name? Evelyn. Incredibles 2 characters. Her name was like Evelyn something. I don't know. Oh yeah, I almost forgot about that girl. Darling, no kips. Edna Mods. Yeah, I almost forgot about her. Screenslaver, that was the name of the main character there, the main villain. Evelyn Dever. Yeah, Evelyn Dever. Doesn't her name, I remember somebody said Evil Endeavor. That's what it is. Evelyn Dever. Evil Endeavor. Yeah, so there you go. It was a little hint for all the fans of who was going to be the villain. People literally predicted who the villain was going to be before the film happened. As soon as they learned her name was going to be Evelyn Dever. Evil Endeavor. Yeah, I remember like people talking about that. They're like, it's so stupid. They ruined they ruined the villain before it even happened. So, and the villain was very predictable too, I got to admit. There weren't many characters that could have been it at the end of the day. It could have been her or her brother, but her brother ended up being just this stupid side character that didn't really do much in the film. But yeah, I just didn't like it. I really didn't like this one. I don't need to give like a full-scale justification here, but it was nowhere close to being as good as the original Incredibles. Nowhere close. I was really happy to see the characters back, though. Frozone. Where are my clothes? Pretty awesome. Onward. We'll talk about Onward. So Onward's going here. Onward is going in the bad. I don't think this was an awful film, but I think it was bad. And I'm going to tell you why. Because I lost my father at a very young age. 12. 12. I lost my father at 12 from a heart attack. And, well, folks, you don't see a film like this too often, where the plot is about having one more day with your father. You can understand why this one is a sour spot for me. I remember when my dad passed away, I would have dreams that like I would wake up and my dad would be there and he'd be like, son, I was just on vacation. I always dream that I could have like one more chat. If I could see him today, what would I say? I would probably tell him how my life is. And just have one last chat, and so this film, it was not good. By the way, and this isn't even, we don't even have to get into the whole lesbian fiasco with the mothers. What was it? The 1 million moms on Facebook. Congratulations to them, by the way. I think a lot of people boycotted. This film was a box office flop. Mostly because of the pandemic, but I think it would have flopped anyways. Yeah, so this is in this movie, they try to tout that they had the first Pixar gay character. It was a pink cop that had a lesbian wife. The Million Moms group on Facebook, they basically said all mothers boycott this bullshit, and they did. They actually did, because this movie box office flopped. Again, it could be the pandemic. It could have been the Million Moms. I like to believe it was the Million Moms. But yeah, 1 Million Moms Facebook group. Funny. So yeah, this film, it's a whole like gimmick where they get to have one more day with their dad, and they get half of him though. They do like a spell, and they only get half of him. And God, yeah, I don't know what this film is about, but like, what the heck were they trying to do with this one? But they try to converge magic and technology. So some of the characters had like magical powers and shit, but most of the characters like kind of forgot had their magical sides for technology. They stopped using magic because technology made things so convenient. But they never really touch, like, they don't go into that kind of stuff very much. You know what I mean? There's a couple characters like the Manticore where it actually is part of the story. Where like over time, like, society modernized. It used to be this ancient place where the Manticore would wait for heroes, and then the heroes stopped coming, and society advanced and people didn't kill each other. And so there were some interesting like plot lines here, some interesting concepts and ideas, but I just never felt like they delivered. And the ending was the sour spot for me. So the ending, for somebody who lost their father at such a very young age, I thought it was, I was waiting for the whole film, all I was waiting for was the moment when the two brothers, Tom Holland and whoever the other one was, I can't remember, was it Chris Pratt? No, maybe it was, I don't know. Whoever the brothers were, right? I was waiting for that awesome moment towards the end where they were finally going to have that last day with their dad, that last conversation, and it happens off screen. The character gets trapped, and his older brother, his brother, he actually got to, he remembers the dad a little bit, but the little brother the dad died before the little brother was born. I need some water, hold on. So the little brother died before the brother was born. And so the whole thing was that the little brother was going to be the one to see the dad, if anybody. But in the end, the older brother is the one that gets to talk to his father. And we don't even get to see it. We don't get to see it on screen. It happens off screen. We watch the little brother, seeing his dad, talking about him. And it was not a good, I didn't enjoy this movie. I thought the ending was not heartwarming. Basically, the message was that instead of trying to spend time having one more day with your father, why don't you look at your brother? Why don't you look at your brother and say, you guys are still alive. You guys should, spend more time with each other instead of trying to spend time with a dead guy. That was kind of the moral of the story here. Value the family that you have that's living right now, because, they might not be there tomorrow. That was kind of the message. And it was a good message, but like, I didn't like the delivery. I didn't like the delivery at all. I really wanted to see the father. I wanted to see that heartwarming moment where the whole family is reunited for one last day and they have the time of their lives, and we never get it. We just never get it. And I'm just not a fan of the ending. Sorry. So I didn't like that film at all. Didn't like it. It was all over the place. I got to be real. It was a lot of action, just a lot of going places, and wasn't a fan. The story didn't wrap up very nicely, in my opinion. Okay, Soul. Let's talk about Soul. I'm going to put Soul right here, mediocre. Soul is just a very boring movie, and I feel like I don't need to go in depth on this one. He's kind of like this music teacher guy, and he ends up falling down a sewer. He dies, but he's not exactly 100% dead. And he meets this 22, right? I think that was her name. He meets the 22nd person who would have been born, but they never decided to go give life a try. And so we get this story about this black guy, and they basically, it's hard to explain this one. This one's a wacky one, but yeah. It turns out there's an afterlife, and you can go through this gateway. It doesn't exactly explain what happens when you walk through the gateway, but you kind of go into your own personal little heaven, I guess. You get to go into your personal afterlife. But yeah, so the main character dies, which is unusual for a Pixar film, I suppose. But he actually isn't dead. I mean, it kind of feels like a watered down Coco now that I think about it. But he ends up having an adventure around town and trying new things and experiencing life. He's been doing the same thing for so long. He experiences what life has to offer. With 22, he gets to try some things, and he experiences parts of life that he's been ignoring, right? He tries to patch things up with his mom at the end there, and he tries to go on dates and things, with people that he never thought he had a chance with towards the end. And it's interesting. It's an interesting film, but I just thought it was boring. What do you guys want me to say? It was God, nothing exciting happens in this film. Holy shit. Can you guys even name an exciting thing that happens in this film? Oh my God. I don't know. Maybe am I going to put this in the bad? Maybe I'm going to de-rank this and put this. But then I thought The Incredibles 2 was definitely more action-paced than Soul. Yeah, I'm going to put Soul right there. I changed my mind. I actually changed my mind mid talk here. I talked myself out of it. I was gonna give it mediocre, but then I'm like, you know what? This was so boring. I actually didn't have that great of a time. It wasn't a very funny film either. Not very much. Outside of the main rebel character, this little soul named 22. It wasn't that, not much comedy going on in this show. Not much comedy in this movie. So I'm gonna leave it there. So we're getting down to the last tier. Inside Out was pretty solid, I'd say. I'm going to say great. I'm going to put it in great. Yeah, great seems like I'll throw it there. So yeah, Inside Out, pretty solid film. I like the idea that inside people's minds, there's these emotions and there's memory. It gave us a really good breakdown of the human mind. Where sometimes we're not in control of our emotions, and that's because there's actually little sentient beings in there doing the work. But we got a character named Ridley. I think this film had something to do with Canada, right? Didn't they move to Canada or something? So that was cool there. Or no, was it that they were living in Canada and they moved to America, or was it something like that? I can't remember exactly. But I remember seeing some hockey in there. There was definitely some hockey. I'm Canadian, of course. I played hockey for 12 years, so whenever I see hockey in a film, I'm like, hey, this is the Canadian way right here. Yeah, so I remember something about that, something about Canada or something or other, or maybe it was just the hockey, and I just assumed that they were Canadian. I don't know. But yeah, it was pretty cool. We get the entire adventure is mostly taking place inside of Riley's mind. We get to see all these different characters. We get to see, what was his name? Bing Bong. Bing Bong? Bing Bong, Bing Bong. Yeah, that character has a very tragic story where he kind of just sacrifices himself for the greater good. I just thought this film was really good. We get to see the sort of the fighting between the parents and how that makes Riley feel and all this kind of thing. It's really interesting. It's a really slice of life kind of film. You know what I mean? There's no big Toy Story adventure where they have to go do something and stop the prospector or some shit. There's none of that. So it's not like Toy Story 2 or anything, but there's no grand adventure where they go around Up, right? Up, they want to have one last adventure there, Carl. And so there's no grand adventure. It just takes place inside of like it's a metaphysical adventure, I guess you could say, or maybe even a metaphorical adventure is probably better. But yeah, it all takes place inside Riley. We get to see her emotions. Her emotions are out of whack. We get to see her in the school and how she's having some emotional times and such. We get the emotions definitely have personality, which is a good thing. You'd expect emotions to be very emotional. That's so that was great to see. Very unique film. That's the thing about Pixar. They usually tend to make unique films that you don't see anywhere else, except for Cars. Cars is kind of like an exception. But yeah, I feel like modern day Pixar, they're really losing their touch though. They really are. And let's start putting in some of these. So Toy Story 1 is the greatest. When this film came out, everybody was watching it. Everybody was talking about it. There was nothing else quite like Toy Story to this day, I feel like. It's just so iconic. The characters, the catchphrases, "You are a toy," and you have Randy Newman with his derpy little songs. The derpy little song, do 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 do. I believe I can fly. I can fly. Yeah, the Randy Newman. Oh my God. So yeah, this movie has great music, very iconic music. The characters are amazing. Mr. Potato Head, I thought he was really funny, what are you looking at, you hockey puck? Whatever happens to the hockey puck, by the way? We get an entire film about Little Bo Peep. Where the fuck is the hockey puck, huh? Oh my God. Yeah, so many great characters. Rex even. I always liked Rex. What was the piggy bank's name? I can't remember. Ham? I don't remember. It's been too long. Wheezy and Toy Story 2. Yeah, I like Toy Story 2 also. It's pretty high up. It's not a masterpiece. It's not as good as the original Toy Story, but yeah, I thought it was really good. Toy Story, just a great film. All around, I love the idea. Now we're getting Lightyear this year. I'm going to update the tier list when Lightyear comes out. Lightyear takes place kind of like it's the movie that Andy has his birthday party, and then he gets a Buzz Lightyear toy, which sets the films into motion. Lightyear is the movie in universe that makes Andy want to get a Buzz Lightyear in the first place, which is really cool. I love this idea. So yeah, hopefully Lightyear is a good film. Yeah, so we're gonna Toy Story, just a masterpiece. Like it's iconic. The catchphrases, the songs, everything about this film. This is a 10 out of 10. This is a masterful work here, folks. It's funny. It's quotable. The music, the animation could have been better, but for the time when this came out, it was clean as hell. You gotta admit it. Right? Like Incredibles 1, it's the same situation. Incredibles 1 doesn't look as good as Incredibles 2, but it just has a way better story. And if, all it takes is an HD lick of paint, right? All they have to do is change the graphics and Toy Story will be a flawless 10 out of 10. So the animation is the only thing that's kind of iffy on that one. Toy Story 2. I'm going to put this one, Toy Story 2. Ratatouille. I think I'm going to put it right before Ratatouille. I think it was better than Brave. Brave was good, but like Toy Story 2 is a very funny film. You had, am I going to put it above Toy? No, I think Ratatouille is kind of a secret masterpiece. Okay. Toy Story 2 is going to go there. The Prospector. I loved all these new characters they added, like Bullseye and everyone. The Prospector. Prospector Pete, I think was his name there. And what was the name? What was the name of Molly? No, what was the name? Jessie. Jessie was the name of the little red-haired girl that was kind of like. It's kind of weird that they included Jessie and then she doesn't become like Woody's love interest. It's so weird that like in the third film they actually kind of. Jesse and ex-Buzz? That was kind of weird. I don't know. I don't know what they were going for there. It was kind of weird that they did that, but I guess Jesse is there, and I love all the characters. I thought they were all good. I honestly would love to see the Prospector return for like Toy Story 5. I wouldn't even mind. I wouldn't mind. It would be really funny if like a bunch of evil toys like started an organization and like the Prospector was just there. And they had to go up against the Prospector a second time. Maybe Lotso the bear comes back from Toy Story 3. Just a league of villains versus all the good toys, you know? But yeah, Toy Story 2, really good. Weird Owl, you know, you had Weird Owl in there. You had, well, I didn't even touch on Sid. I thought Sid was a great villain for Toy Story 1. Weird Owl was good. Really good too, actually. I thought he was really good. Not as good as Sid. Sid had a kind of a sickly teenager vibe to him where he's just very, very disturbed child. Meanwhile, Weird Al is just kind of like this just dirty old collector guy, you know? He's very into collecting, let's just say. And, you know, he wants his toys and he's going to do whatever he can to get them. Then you have the Prospector. Then you have Zurg. This film had a lot of villains, all right? You know, I guess they were like, how do we top the first Toy Story? By Jove, let's throw in every villain. But this movie still works, though. It still works, even though there's a bunch of whole, you know, a different bunch of plot lines. They all come together and it's pretty solid. So yeah, Toy Story 2, really good. Like the Prospector, like Weird Al. I like Zurg. I like everything. I like everything, but it wasn't as good as the first Toy Story, though. You know what I mean? Like, it was a really great film, but it wasn't it wasn't like that film that everybody's coming out for. I almost forgot to talk about Wheezy. Whatever happens to, like the hockey puck, where the hell did Wheezy go? Now, I remember I read some trivia that when his voice actor died, they retired the character. I don't know what the hell that means, but supposedly Wheezy got sold at a garage sale. They never go back for Wheezy. They never go. In my headcanon, somebody bought Wheezy and they threw it to their dog and he got chewed up. Wheezy got dead. Not the wheeze. But we only have 3 more. Toy Story 3. This should have been... Okay, wait, should I talk about Toy Story? Okay, we'll start with Toy Story 3. This right here, Toy Story 3, should have been... Should have been the finale. Toy Story 4 does not need to exist. We have this final great finale where all the toys, you know, they're accepting death. You know, they're accepting the fact that Andy is getting older. You know, they get dumped into a daycare. It's just, it's, you know, they have to confront getting older. And I really like the film. I really like this film, but it should have been the end. Toy Story 4, the fact that film exists is a money grab. This was the perfect ending to the Toy Story franchise, and that's why I thought it was so good of an ending that I actually put it above Toy Story 2. And I like the character. I think Lotso was a great villain. You know, he tells them, like, you know, you're eventually going to get thrown away. Andy's going to grow up. You're going to get thrown away. You know, so that this is the lifespan of a toy, right? Kids grow old and then they either forget about their toys or they just throw them away or give them away to someone else. And so Lotso kind of wants to make a safe haven. You know, he has the daycare. He's the boss. He's the leader of the toys and he has his ways about him, you know. And is Lotso wrong, though? This is a moral quandary we must ask ourselves. Was Lotso wrong? Because if you were a toy, you wouldn't want to be thrown away like trash, right? So I just thought this was a great film to wrap things up. Andy's getting older. Everybody watching Toy Story when it, you know, a number of years passed between Toy Story 1 and 3 in real life. And, you know, you're getting older. It was just a great way to send off your toys, just like in real life. You get older and most people, they kind of just gravitate to adulthood. They forget about their toys, except for me. Here is my shark. But yes, most people forget about their toys. They get left in the past. You don't really care about your action figures. Like, you don't play with them, right? When you were a kid, you played with your action figures. When you're an older, person, you don't play with them anymore. You look at them on a shelf, or maybe you do some poses or whatever. Unless you have a YouTube channel, maybe you do some stop motion or something. I don't know. But most people, they forget about their toys, and Toy Story 3 was a great send-off. Just a really great send-off. I like seeing all those toys. I like seeing the kindergarteners go crazy and shit. But at least they were getting played with, right? So I did like that. But I actually can't. It's been a while, and I don't remember exactly how they ended up in the daycare. Was it that Molly? Was it Andy's cousin? No, Andy's cousin only appears at the very end, right? Yeah, I think so. But no, wasn't it Andy gives gives a couple of the toys to Molly, and they say Molly, take really good care. Is that what happens, or was that? Yeah, I think some shit like that happens, right? Yeah. So Andy gives away his toys at the end of the movie. Let's just skip on and move on here. This is almost a 2-hour long video. And yeah, so yeah, basically, Andy ends up giving away his toys, and it was a great moving on with your life story. That's what it really comes down to. And of course, I almost forgot to talk about the scene where they almost get incinerated, and they're accepting of their death, and then the little green aliens, the Claw, and they pick them up and save them. That was kind of a bullshit. That was kind of a bullshit maneuver to save themselves there, but okay, whatever. It's called a Deus Ex Machina, right? Deus Ex Machina, whatever Deus Ex Machina, Deus, I think. Yeah, whatever. Deus Ex Machina. It comes out of nowhere. They get saved by the Claw, and which is just a giant magnet, and they get out of there. And that's that. But it was a really hard. It was very emotional. It was very, very emotional that these characters, they could honestly just end up being incinerated. That's what happens to some of our toys, right? We throw our toys away. They end up in the garbage. We don't know what happens to them after that. So very heartwarming story. And then for the final finale here, Toy Story 4, the film that shouldn't exist. And I thought it was bad, so I'm going to put it right there. Right above The Incredibles 2. Definitely better than Soul. But was it better than Monsters University? Yeah, no. I kind of like the music in that film. So I have an issue with this film. My issue is that it exists for starters. But my other issue was... what was it? Hold on. I almost forgot. Oh yeah, the loyalty factor. Right. So the entire time, Andy, Woody is a very, very loyal toy to his master, Andy, right? Or not his master, it's kind of like owner, right? Andy was the kid. He was his kid. I guess you could say that they were their masters. It's kind of kind of a weird way to put it, but yeah. Oh my God, my mom's texting me. Okay, whatever. We got to wrap this up. But yeah, in the end, the entire film is kind of just this unnecessary love story between Woody and Bo Peep. Whatever happened to Bo Peep, they have to go on an adventure to find her. And, oh God. So in the end of the movie, I don't want to go through the whole goddamn movie here. There's a whole, antique shop, and then Woody sacrifices with his his voice box to one of the characters there. There's also this evil puppet kind of character, like Scrappy from Goosebumps. There's that he's kind of like a ventriloquist dummy. So that that character's there as sort of a weird inclusion. There's also that Canadian the motorcycle guy. That guy was really funny. I thought that was a good character. But yeah, we get to see Bo Peep. She's having a feminist adventure. She's living for herself. People are going to say, why is it that anytime the women are, it's a feminist adventure? And my response, but they really, really leaned in though, guys. They leaned in. This was like Cars 3, right? You could tell, and Incredibles 2. they really had a feminist agenda with this shit, where it's like they really leaned into Bo Peep being this like god tier, she cannot do anything wrong character. She's able to fight off like anything. She's able to, you know, jump around, leap tall buildings in a single bound like it's Superman or some shit. She has her cane, whatever that little sheep herding staff stick, whatever. And, you know, she's zip lining down and she's running around and she's like the leader of like the park or whatever the hell. I don't know, guys. I don't know, man. I don't know. I just thought it was iffy. The entire story, but it comes down to the loyalty, right? Like Andy specifically gave these toys to Molly and asked Woody to look after them. And Woody, the big twist here at the end of the movie is Woody says, nah, I'm out of here. I want to go hang out with Bo Peep, you know? So Woody is literally off the team. If they ever make a Toy Story 5, I don't think Woody's going to be in there, right? It's, you know, it's not a happily ever after. It doesn't feel like it. You know, Bo Peep didn't want to go with the rest of the toys. She has her own friends now, and it's like hard to, you know, readjust to life. But I guess it was a good love story, but like the entire plot wasn't that good. And I really don't like this whole loyalty thing. Woody was shown 3 movies in a row to be one of the most loyal toys we have ever seen to any, you know, Andy was his kid. He protects him with his life. He protects his essence with his life. Now it's like, hey, I need you to look after Molly. And they're just like, nah, Woody's like, F this, I'm out. You know, Woody, Molly, or Andy, Molly, these are just some humans. Screw this shit. I'm out. I just didn't like it. I didn't like the ending. I didn't like Toy Story 4. This movie didn't need to exist. And that's that. I'm just going to end it now. That's my thought. I did not like Toy Story 3. So this is my final tier list. The original Toy Story is at the top, while Cars 3 is at the bottom. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. Look forward to Lightyear and Turning Red episode updates. So yeah, there you go, folks. Just one last look there. There's the whole thing from the bottom to the top. And pretty good tier list, I'd say. So that's going to be that. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Please leave all your comments in the comment section down below. This is a very long video. Very long video. I don't know if you guys are going to watch all this. But if you do, let me know if you made it to the very end at in the comment section down below. Please like the video. Please share the video. Please subscribe. Trying to reach 1,000. And we're going to get there day by day. All right. Thanks, everybody. Peace out. Bye-bye.